right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of the Single Parents Daily with your host, Evan DeMarco. Chadi is off for the day, and as we're going to discuss in a little bit, not that we ever want to be without Chadi, but today might be the one day where it's okay because it might have ended badly for me if she was here. So our next guest is one that I've been kind of excited to talk to for a while, and it's kind of interesting. There's a theme, if you followed Single Parents Daily, of a mythical, let's just say a mythical beast with a single horn protruding from its head. Now, from the beginning of time, all of these different civilizations have talked about this mythical beast, but I think that our next guest might prove that this beast might actually be real. So I am stoked to have unicorn mom Maria Hunt on the show. Maria, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited. I've been following you guys for a while too, so I'm excited to actually finally this is happening.
This is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to put your information in the show notes, but you are definitely the fun mom.
Oh, yes, for sure.
Yes. So there's a couple of things that we're gonna, that I'm gonna pull from your website that are just, that I think obviously speak a lot to what it is that you're doing. But for our viewers, kind of give us the 35,000 foot view of who you are.
Who I am. Okay, well, I am a single mom, divorced for 2.5 years. I have 2 boys. Soy mexicana, so hablo español. What else? I live in the suburbs of LA, and yeah, I'm the founder of Unicorn Moms. And essentially, Unicorn Moms. Do you want me to go into the community?
Oh, absolutely, yes.
So I started Unicorn Moms as a Facebook group in 2015 because I moved out to the suburbs out here. I was living in LA in the city, and I didn't know anyone. So I dove into the Facebook local moms communities to just, find other moms like me to hang out, to show me the ropes around this area, like what's the happening places to be at. And anyhow, long story short, I ended up hating those mom groups. They were too mean and judgmental, and I just don't subscribe to that. And I would see how these women would reach out for help and then just get attacked, whether it's questions about parenting, about, anything about relationships, marriage, divorce. They were just attack. And I was over it after about like 5-6 months. So I decided on that, let me, give it a shot. And I can't be the only one to create my own group. So there was born Unicorn Moms, and yeah, the rest is history.
I may not be your cup of tea, but let's be honest, I'd rather be your shot of tequila.
Yep.
That is fucking awesome.
Yep, that's who I am in a nutshell. I mean, and I know a lot of people don't subscribe to my way of thinking and parenting and the way I look, the way I dress, so many things, but you know what? I don't care.
Exactly. And I think that's where we're coming from with this. So I want to take a step back and really talk about the judgment that you faced in some of these mom groups. And why do you really think that is?
Well, I just think women are very catty. Even before we become moms, women in general just brought up to be like, very competitive, I think, like with other women. Or maybe it's just a thing in us. We're just born that way, like we want to outdo, we want to be better at, cooking and parenting and the way we look. We want to have the best of everything. And I just think that's where that comes from. But I don't understand why. But I think also social media, people hide behind their computers and phones and just, I think I think they're bored. They're bored and they want attention. Yeah. So there's nothing else going on in their lives. So they feel the need to attack and just be so judgmental and belittle women. And I think it's just so unfair and I don't like it. I want it to stop. Evan, I want it to stop.
Okay, well, we're gonna make a valiant effort for that, right? And I don't think that we're ever gonna completely change human behavior, but there is an acknowledgement that from conversations that I've had with you, with other guests on the show, that women definitely have the perception of being more judgmental as parents. And especially if you're divorced, I think that there's kind of this, oh, you're a failure as a woman because you couldn't keep your marriage together. You're a failure as a woman because you're divorced and now you've got this single mom thing going on by yourself. And the reality is the statistics show that, more than half of us, once we get married, are going to get divorced. That number's only going up and up and up. So we know the data on this one. And it's really interesting, the psychology behind this. Why are women more prone to this than men? And men can be douchebags in their own right, but it's not to the same level that I think that you're talking about. And again, I've heard from multiple women on the show that this seems to be a epidemic within a pandemic.
Yeah.
So how do we fix this besides unicorn moms?
I think for me, what has helped me is I just don't engage. I just, there's a lot of posts of, hate in my Instagram, especially some moms just attack and, but I just don't engage. I just clearly like their comment and I don't engage. And I think it's like our kids, if we tell them like, stop, I have two boys. So my little one picks on my older one and he just, hates it. And it's just like, no, and I'm like, stop engaging, stop giving him the satisfaction because he likes to get a reaction from you. And once, he started stopping that, then little brother stopped. This is when they were much younger. But I think it's the same thing. Once you stop engaging, I think somehow it stops. And I've noticed that in my feed on Instagram, if I don't engage back, like I don't care. I don't need to have the last word. I don't need to prove, what I think, my values, my political views, whatever. I don't need to. And yeah, I just think a lot of that comes from you engage, you want to be right, you want to have the last word. And for me, I just don't. I don't do that. I don't need to engage. I don't need to have the last word. I don't need to prove that, I'm right or you're wrong. Or so, yeah, I think that's kind of my approach to somewhat stopping it, I guess. Or,
Okay.
you know.
I like that. It's funny. I think, social media has the potential to bring out the best and the worst in us. It's the best in us, especially in a time like COVID, where it can keep us connected. It can keep us sane when we can't physically be around other people. So there's an element of social media that allows us to be connected in a world that's very disconnected. Conversely, it gives people a set of cojones that they would not have should that digital interface device not be the thing that's separating them from the real world. Because we know that there's no way that those moms, those dads, those people are going to go up to you on the street at pickup time at your kid's school and say the things that they're saying in your news feed. So
Yeah.
part of it is this recognition that social media has given people a voice where they feel emboldened to say things that they normally wouldn't say. um, I actually kind of wonder from an anthropological perspective, is this the de-evolution of man? When we look at the Constitution of the United States, it's, free speech, but free speech has this belief that there's kind of advanced citizenship, right? Like, I'm going to speak and I'm going to listen to you speak, regardless if we don't get along. The
Yeah.
proximity of us talking to each other puts us in a place where we at least have to act civilized. And social media has kind of decivilized human beings to a great degree. And did you see the social dilemma, by the way?
I did.
Oh
I did.
my God. Like,
Yeah. But you know what, Evan? I knew all that because my background is tech. So I worked at MySpace.
yes,
So
okay. So
I
I've been
knew all
joking.
that. And I'm like, so I wasn't too surprised. But yeah, it's crazy what they're doing. But yeah, that's
So you were the ground floor of the social de-evolution of the human species with MySpace.
yep.
That is so cool. Tell us about that, right? Like, how did you get into tech, and then how is that transitioned into Unicorn Moms?
Oh wow. How did I get into tech? Actually, it was through a friend. I was working as a paralegal at a law firm because I wanted to go to law school and I got the best advice ever. They said, before you get into debt and spend all this money going to school, how about you work for a law firm for like a little bit, like a semester, take a time off. And I'm so glad I did because I ended up hating it. I met my ex-husband when I was working there. So that was, one good thing. But yeah, from there, my friend said, "Hey, I know these guys. They're starting this company, and they're looking for someone to help them run their day to day and stuff." And I'm like, "Okay." So that's kind of I went in, I interviewed, and got the job, and it was in 2003, no, four, early 2004. Yeah,
Wow.
it was so much fun. It was
An
like the best.
original MySpacer.
Original MySpace. So yeah, I think I was an employee like I don't like 13, 14, something like that.
Keep
Yeah.
talking. We had a technical issue here.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You see, I'm like, where'd you go? Oh, there you are. So yeah, no, it was very, very fun to work there. And I think I worked there until I had my oldest son. in 2000. I left in 2008. So we were already acquired by News Corp. And I think we were acquired at News Corp. Things shifted and it changed and it just wasn't the same. So I think we were acquired in 2005, 2006. And I left in 2008. They had already turned us corporate and moved us to Beverly Hills office. I mean, it was very nice, but it was just too corporate. And I think that was one of the, the initial downfall of MySpace. And so yeah, here we are. And I was part of the executive team. So I saw how these men, a lot of women, some women, but mostly men, worked and thought and created. And, it was very interesting and fascinating to me. So I think that helped me kind of start, Unicorn Moms after it was just a hobby, to merge it into maybe there could be a potential to make some money, as a business. So yeah, that's what happened.
Awesome. Well, so the first question I have to ask is MySpace coming back? Because I'm holding out hope for it.
Oh my God, you and everyone else. So I just made a post the other day and I said, who would be down to like bring it back? I'm thinking of starting a Kickstarter or GoFundMe to bring it back. Because now it's changed hands so many times. So I think now it's like worth like nothing,
Nothing.
Nothing. I mean, and I'm not saying nothing, but probably like less than like $5 million at this point, I think.
It's not an active platform anymore, is it?
It's still around. It is. I still get their emails, but it's not the same. They changed it. It became so not user friendly. And I think for something like MySpace, who was just when it first came out, was so user friendly and you can customize it and you can do things to it. When they switched it up, I'm just like, what the heck is this? I can't. I can't with this. I just want to retrieve my old pictures.
Yeah.
And I can't find them. Yeah. So, but yeah, hopefully, I mean, I don't think it's coming back, but it would be nice. In theory, it'd be nice.
We'll keep our fingers crossed.
We'll keep our fingers crossed. Yeah.
Because
So
once it does, I'm going to start a band, and then that's going to be where you can download all of our music.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I can't sing or play an instrument, but I'm going to start a band anyway.
You're going to start a band. Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. I'm going to download all your music, Evan.
Good. It's going to basically sound like my daughter banging on pots and pans in the kitchen. We'll call it, we'll call it toddler metal.
Toddler metal. Awesome. I like
it. So let's talk a little bit more. Well, before we get into Unicorn Moms, what I'd like to do is kind of talk about, and again, feel free to say cinnamon, which is our safe word. So if we ever cover anything that you don't want to talk about, that's, okay. Throw out the cinnamon. But you got divorced. So run us kind of through the process of you getting divorced and, what your parenting plan looks like and, how it is being a single mom, especially in the day, the age of COVID.
Yeah. Well, I was married for 11 years, together for 14. So I met him when I was 24. I was young. He was older at 35. And, it was great. You fall in love, you get married, you do the whole thing, you have the kids. And I think at some point in the middle of that, there's a disconnect, with our partnership, So, and I think it happens a lot in marriages. So that's what happened with us, like everything, we just, the key word or the cliche word is we grew apart, but it's true. I think, women more so than men are pretty set in their ways from day one. Maybe they change a little bit, but women like evolve and change. And I'm so different from, who I was 5 years ago, 10 years ago. And I'm sure I'll be completely different in like 10, 15 years. So I think it was very, very hard for him to love the woman I was becoming, because he essentially didn't sign up for that, I think. So anyways, we tried to work it out, and it wasn't meant to be. But you know what? It was great. I have nothing but good things to say about my ex-husband. He's amazing. He's a great father. He's a great provider. And I picked a good baby daddy. And our co-parenting is great. We have 50-50 custody, and we're on the 2-2-3 schedule. And it's great. Like I just texted him this morning. I'm like, hey, tomorrow I'm taking the boys to the movies because our local theater is open. And
oh, really?
Like, do you want to join us? He's like, yeah.
That's cool. I mean, that's cool. A, that the local theater is open, and B, that you guys have the relationship where you guys can do that. What movie are you going to see?
Beetlejuice. So they're playing all the old classics like Beetlejuice, Hocus Pocus, Halloween.
Nice.
$5, $5 movies. I'm like, you can't beat that.
No, it was funny. Like I remember growing up, we had like the dollar movie.
Yeah.
And now it's like, I take my daughter to the movie and I have to take out a second mortgage to,
Yeah,
to
I
go.
know, right? It's so expensive.
Yeah, like $900 for movie tickets and popcorn.
Like popcorn, yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, our relationship is good. We co-parent very, very well. I'm
Wonderful.
lucky because I know my friends. I have a lot of friends, and I hear all these stories that it's just they can't even stand to look at each other. They have to drop their kids off like down the street to walk to their dad's house.
Yeah, there's a lot of bad out there, and one of our focuses here at Single Parent Daily is to try to fix that, right? Because it's never the kid's fault, and whatever reasons we split, whatever reasons cause us to become single parents, if we can find a way to at least acknowledge that that person played an integral role in our life at one point, and at least remember that. You don't have to remember it always, but just during the times that you're picking up and dropping off, it makes things go a whole lot easier.
Yeah.
And
No, I
y-
think you're absolutely right. I encourage that too. Like I want, and that's one of the topics in my Facebook group with these women is that, they ask me, how do you do it? I'm like, we have to set our egos aside. Whatever happened, our number one priority that we agreed upon is our children. And once you go into
Absolutely.
it looking like that, then, that's what you have to do.
And and I think, remember, one of the things that I found is once your ego finally gets out of the way and you can look at that person, kind of with the same love and respect that you had at one point in your life, and acknowledge that they're a person, they have their own feelings, they have their own desires, and support those as you would, in your marriage, and recognize, like, if you can want for them the best, that single like mental shift creates a tremendous energetic shift in the whole relationship.
Yeah.
It's like, look, we're not together anymore. You might have cheated on me. I might have cheated on you, whatever the reason is. But it's like, I still want the best for it. And once you can say that legitimately, things get a whole lot different.
Yeah, you're right. I genuinely want the best for him. Even when we were settling our divorce, our financials, I said, listen, I give me what I deserve. I'm not gonna take, we didn't have any lawyers involved. So yeah, our divorce was just very, very, very uncommon. So
God,
yeah,
I'm so
no lawyers,
jealous.
no mediation, no nothing. We just both agreed of it. One afternoon we sat and we talked and, over wine and pizza and hashed it out. Yeah. And yeah, that's it. That's it. And I said, look, you still have to survive. You still have to have your life. So I'm not gonna be greedy and take, what's not mine, what I didn't make. You work hard for your money. You work hard to support, your kids and myself. So why am I gonna, deprive you of you living your life? You know. So yeah, I think once you let that you think about it like that, I think it helps because, like you said, you once loved this person. So, like, yeah.
Brings up an interesting question, because we hear from a lot of divorced parents, I hate that person. I hate that person. But does the love ever really go away? Can you stop completely loving somebody?
I don't, I don't think so. I don't really think so because, that is a very good question. For me, I will always love him. It's just a different kind of love, you
Yeah.
know?
It doesn't have to
So
be
I
the
don't,
gaga.
exactly. So yeah, I think I don't know, at least for me, I can't speak for everyone else, but for me, I don't think I could stop loving, you know?
Listeners, this is a great question. We'd love your feedback on this one. So sound off on our social is, once you've loved someone, can you ever actually stop loving them? It might change. It might be completely different. There might be some depth and complexity to it, but can you ever stop, especially when you have kids with someone, right? And I always looked at it as my daughter is an extension of the relationship and the love that I had with my ex-wife. And, my daughter's half my ex-wife. So for me to hate my ex-wife means I'm hating half of my daughter, and I just can't conceptualize that.
Exactly. You're absolutely right. Yeah. And you can't. And I just think that's what are we teaching our kids? What are we showing our kids if we constantly bash our, our partners, our ex-partners? I don't think that's great. It's not good for the kids.
Not at all. Not at
Not
all.
at all.
And I think that the reports and the research on this one is just beyond reproach. Is parents that bash the other parents, end up causing some severe psychological trauma in their kids. Yeah, the
Yeah.
kids don't know how to separate themselves from the parent, and so you might as well just take a club to your kid's head if you're going to do that.
Yeah. That's so true. Yeah,
Cool.
I don't want
So
to.
yes, no
I
clubbing.
always feel guilty about some of the stuff that I do, and I'm like, I go to bed, I'm like, shit, was that the one thing they're gonna remember? Am I gonna
Oh,
today day that I'm gonna traumatize that they trauma? You know, because when you grew up, I'm sure this happened to you. I remember certain things that my parents did, you know, and I'm just like, fuck, like that was bad, and I still am angry at my parents for it, or my mom especially. Like, how could she? You know, obviously I've forgiven her and stuff, but that's one of the things that stuck to me. So for me, that's one of the things I'm like, I was a little too hard on him. Maybe I'm like, is this the day he, or this is the incident that he's gonna remember? You know, I'm gonna
well,
traumatize.
look, all of our kids are going to end up in therapy, right? Let's just acknowledge that. You should have a 529, which is, your college savings plan, and you should have a therapy savings account, and they should both grow and be, tax free. So here, all right. So here's the question. Let's get into this. What are the things that you've done that you're like, oh shit, that's the one that's going to cause a problem?
Wow, I've done a lot. No, just when because my obviously I have two kids, so the personalities are very different. So the way I disciplined them before has was always the same. So one way works for one kid and one doesn't. And then after I because I my younger one went to therapy for a little bit, you know, she's like, no, what works for your older one doesn't work for your little one. So I a lot of the times growing when he was younger, you know, I just wasn't hearing him or seeing him and trying to understand who he was and why he was feeling those certain things. And I would just like yell at him because I didn't know how to do it. So I mean, those are a lot of those incidents where, yeah, he was just being himself or trying to communicate, but he just didn't have the vocabulary to really express it. And I went a little too hard on him. Discipline. I mean, I'm Latin. Like, we have no patience, and I'm just like, go to your room. I don't want to hear it.
And ladies and gentlemen, that's one of the reasons why, again, we never want to be without Chadi, but the fact that she's not here is probably a good thing because two Latin women in me, it's not going to end well. I'd get clubbed, punched, cursed out in a foreign language. It wouldn't end well. It's funny that you bring that up, right? Because I think that I don't know if it's technology. I don't know if it's just the time that we live in, but in a lot of the parents that we've spoken with, there's kind of this idea that our kids are older than what they are. I don't know if it's because we think that they're accelerating faster than maybe we did, but then we have these moments where we're talking to them like we would a 25-year-old, a 30-year-old, and we're disconnecting and we think it's their problem that they're not hearing us. And I'm guilty of this, right? There's so many times that I begrudgingly would get into these conversations with my daughter and I was expecting her to be at my level. And it took me a while to be like, hey, dumbass, she's 5 years old. Why don't you try to talk to her at her level? So I'm glad you brought that up, right? Because I think that there's this real epidemic, and we've used that word a lot. There's a lot of epidemics going on, but of
Yes,
parents
there
just
is.
and we have this perception that our kids are older than they are. And there's nothing wrong with taking a step back and recognizing that they are younger and we need to talk to them at their level, not at our level. I asked my
No,
daughter, I'm like, I understand you're having a bad day. Can you put a PowerPoint presentation together and send that over to me so I understand exactly what's going on?
yeah. Well, yeah, and you have a daughter, so that's gonna be even when she gets a little older. Oh,
Oh, pardon my French, but
yeah,
fuck.
yeah, you're fine.
It's already okay. So I got to tell you guys, we've decided to kind of do this pod learning. Are you guys doing distance learning?
We're doing distance learning, yeah.
Okay, so we're doing distance learning as well. And one of her good friends one of her good friends' parents, we all decided that we were going to kind of do this pod learning, right? So we would stick with the distance learning curriculum, but then we would get the kids together at different houses throughout the week, so that they at least had the social interaction. And then one parent who has to be there, right? You have to be plugged in full time when
Yeah.
when you've got a first grader. It would allow the rest of us a break. So the first day I go and pick her up, we're leaving, and she's like, "Hey, can my boyfriend walk me to the car?" And I like the oxygen went out of the room. I think I dropped to the ground. I might have sucked my thumb for 20 minutes, but yeah, like 6 years old. And she said the word boyfriend, and yeah, it's
Oh my
brutal.
God. the girls, especially. I have moms that have friends of mine that have daughters, and yeah, when they were young, like really, it starts early. My boys are 12 and 10, and still have no interest in girls, and they're like, "Ew, mom." I'm like, no. I'm like, oh, thank you.
Yeah. They're like,
But I'm
I
like, you will, and I just hope you come to me and tell me, because I'm gonna be that nosy mom. Who is she? What does she look like? Who are her parents? All those questions.
So, well, that brings up, let's transition a little bit to boys, right? So you have a social media presence, and obviously as a, pardon me for saying, but an attractive woman, um, how do your kids ever have any feedback from their friends that that their friends or their parents' friends are seeing, or their friends' parents are seeing you online? Is there any kind of convergence of your digital life and your real life?
Not really. I mean, there was for a little bit. For a while, they would be like, "Oh, that's her mom's a unicorn. Her mom's a so you would hear that around school with his friends, mostly the girls. Oh yeah, you're the unicorn mom, yeah. But other than that, not really. Like they know what I do. They know they don't. Obviously, they're not on my social media. They don't see what I post. They don't follow me. They don't anything. I mean, my son does. My younger one does follow me on TikTok, but he doesn't care to see what I post. He just watches his gamers and his silly videos on TikTok. Yeah, no, not much, not really. It's just they don't really. They're boys. They really don't care. They don't care about music. Like my friend came over the other day and she's like, "Oh, so my daughter's into this and this." And I'm like, "What are your boys into musically?" I'm like, "90s R&B and hip hop, like me."
Wait, MC Hammer.
MC Hammer, Vanilla Ice. Yeah, so they're just very, I guess, I don't know, maybe it's a boy thing. They just are very, they don't care about social media. They don't care. My son has a phone. We got him a phone at 12, because he started middle school and he started walking to and from school because the school is right down the street. And he just doesn't even use it. I'm like, you got to
That's
charge your
great.
phone. You're going to charge it in like weeks. Yeah. So my boys are very disinterested. So I don't know how that's going to work later. I'm glad that in this day and age, my boys are not very into all that, crazy stuff. I mean, video games, but that's different.
Yeah, that's different. Although video games have changed so much.
So much, so much.
I'm gonna ask the inappropriate question, but how old are you?
I am 41.
Oh,
I
nice.
just turned 41. I just turned 41.
41 here as well.
Oh, nice. What's your
Yeah.
sign?
I'm a Taurus.
Oh, okay. I'm a Virgo. We're Earth signs.
I'm gonna take your word for that because it's. I think at one point I had to Google what's my sign because I had no idea.
Taurus. Yeah. Taurus and Virgo and Capricorn, Earth signs. That's how we get
Does that
along.
okay? That's so that
That
means we
works.
get along, right? Is
Yeah.
is there anything else that means?
We're compatible. If we were to
Oh,
ever have a date, we're compatible.
okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, so let's talk about dating in the age of COVID. How has that been
Oh
for you?
my goodness. It's shitty. How long do you have, Evan? Because I got stories for you.
Look, one of the things that changed from single daddy daily to single parents daily was this recognition that we need a real voice in the community of single parenting. It's not all wine and roses. It's, we're not all riding unicorns, and take that as a metaphor for whatever you want to, but sometimes shit just sucks, right? Like dating sucks, dating apps suck, trying to meet people and balance, the desire to be a sexual human being with the need to be a good parent. It's a
Mhm.
challenge, and we need a voice out there like yours, like ours, that says, what, it's okay to embrace the suck, and let's find a way through this together. So we love hearing stories about this stuff. So data dump, let's hear it, give it to us.
I hate a dump. Oh my God. Well, pre-COVID, it sucked too. Because I mean, especially where I live, I'm in the suburbs of LA. And it's just dating pool out here just sucks. And there's, I don't know. But anyhow, men are just, I think it's come down ultimately to men are lazy. Men just are easily distracted and are lazy. They don't put in the effort to actually really get to know someone and do all the the courting and the fun things. They just automatically like, I just want to sleep with you. I mean, they're not going to straight out tell me that, but you know what, I wish they would, because let me decide, maybe I just want to sleep with you too.
Yeah, that's
Don't lie to me. Just don't waste my time and wine and dine me and then you get what you want and then you're done. No, let's just save each other time and let me decide if that's the course of action I want to pursue, whether it's to just sleep with you or to like just your date. But
And
yeah,
it's funny that you say that, because you would think that with all of the technology that we have, the Tinders and the Bumbles and all of these apps, that people would be more honest in their approach to dating, right? It's okay, there's 8,000 people on this app within my, filters of what it is that I want. If I'm completely honest, there's still a high probability that I'm going to get what I want regardless of that. And if that's, I want to dress up as a Furby and do weird things, there's still people, you can do all of that. So it really is funny that the level of deception that goes on in dating to ultimately get somewhere that has no, no path forward is so odd, when there's so many people out there who probably want the exact same thing.
yeah, that's so true. That's so true. But for me, I've learned going into it now. I'm just very honest from the beginning. Whether I mean, what I want, what I don't want, what I'm, you gotta set the boundaries. You gotta like listen. I can't do last minute things. And that was my issue with all these men. Like a week or two ago, this guy is like, "What are you doing today?" I'm like, "I have my kids." Like, oh, it's like I wanted to see you. I'm like, I don't do that. You want to see me? Plan 5 days in advance. Like I don't do last minute. Like I have a schedule, I have work, I have other things, I have a social life. So, and then he's like, "Oh, maybe this isn't going to work." I'm like, "Great, well, it's not going to work. Sorry."
Yep. Peace out.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm very particular and I'm clear about what I can offer, what I'm available, and all that stuff. And you know, if you're up for it, then fine. If you're not, then you're not. And I'm okay
Cool.
and move on. Like I said, I love being single. I'm not in a big rush to date anyone to I think, but that took a while, freshly, I'm sure it's happened to you, freshly out of divorce. I was just like, I need to go find someone. I mean, yeah, I had my little fun phase, but then afterward, I was like, I need to find someone. I need to find my next partner. And I was just so like, oh my God, woe is me. I'm going to end up alone and men suck. But then I did self work. I did the self work for like a year. And I mean, I dated in between, but now I'm just like, I'm good. Most of my friends now are single, divorced too. I think I have 4 divorced friends, and we're all around the same age, and we all have kids. So it's good. I've surrounded myself with good friends, and I think that's very, very important for I think single parents is they need to surround themselves with a good pool of people, friends, because it's a distraction. So you're not just home alone, sitting, thinking, your thoughts. I'm going to be alone. I'm lonely. I'm this.
Hmm.
For me, it's helped a lot just being around my friends and, you know, with my kids and stuff. So I don't get distracted and feel sorry for myself, which I don't feel sorry for myself, but
I think a lot of people do, and a lot of people will use the next relationship, or in my case, a number of relationships to kind of ease the pain of separation from that married life. And I would do that where I didn't want to be around anyone, but then I was so sick of being by myself that I would just go out just to feel that human connection, or to see that if I could connect with anyone. And it was a horrible choice, or a horrible series of choices in my post divorce life, but ultimately it's that's the path that we have to walk, and it got me to the place where I was able to do the work on myself, as you just you just did. But it also got me to the place where I kind of created what I call the divorce bucket list, right? Which was the 10 things that I didn't get to do in my marriage. And it was everything from, you know start rock climbing, whether it's bungee jumping, whether it's rent a sled and some dogs and go do the Iditarod. It doesn't matter. But having that list, and
yeah.
some of it's adventure, some of it was fiscal, like paying off my blood sucking divorce lawyer. All of
Mhm.
those things, kind of got me into a headspace where it's like I could focus on me, I could focus on the things that I wanted to do. And in doing such, it opened up a realm of relationships, both men, women, whatnot, but just people that were aligned with where I was at in my life. And
Yeah.
I think that there's that. I love that movie, Crazy Stupid Love. Did you see that one?
Oh my God, that's so good. Such
Yeah.
a good
Yeah, it's like how many people just go to the bar and become, just
one.
sex fiends, man whores, whatever, until you're just completely emotionally and energetically depleted.
Mhm.
So by focusing on ourselves and doing the work, we can get to a place where if we're going to be whores, at least we're doing it from a healthy place.
Exactly. Exactly. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Yeah.
All right,
I agree.
so worst first date story. Let's jump into that.
Oh, worst first date story. Okay. Yeah, this was a worst first date story. So, match with someone from Orange County, which if you know LA, it's Orange County from where I live. I'm 45 minutes north of LA, so by Calabasas, and Orange County is like another hour. So 2 hours, maybe 2 hour drive, or a little under 2 hours. Anyhow, so he ended up
That's a
driving all the
long
way.
distance relationship.
It's a long distance relationship. Exactly. Anything further than 30 minutes is a long distance. But he just was insistent and wanted to come out, whatever. I'm like, okay. Went out, met him at a restaurant in Malibu, and we hit it off. Conversation was good. Everything seemed, there was a little bit of chemistry, and I'm like, okay, this is great. And I had a couple drinks, so he offered to take me. I Ubered there. I'm responsible. And he offered to drop me off at home. I'm like, no. He's like, listen, I'm not going to do anything or try anything. I'm like, okay. So I let him take me home. Big mistake. I should have listened to my gut. So he drops me off at home. And on the way home, oh, sorry, let me backtrack. After dinner, we walked across the street to the beach and watched the sunset and put our feet in the water. And it was cute. It was like a movie moment. I'm like, oh, this is nice. And we made out a little bit. And I'm like, oh,
I love how you finished with that. It was the movie mode. Oh, and then we made out.
movie moment, so it was nice. So we were full of sand, on our feet and in the car. And so he dropped me off. I'm like, oh, well, thank you. I had a good time, saying goodbye. He's like, can I come in and go to use your restroom, because it's a long drive, and also just to get rid of some of the sand. And I'm like, okay. So he comes in. I show him to the restroom downstairs. I'm like, okay, well, I'll be right back down. I'm going to go and do the same thing, and then I'll say goodbye. So I'm in my bathroom upstairs in my room, and he comes upstairs.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm like, oh my God, oh my God. I'm
Pepper
like,
spray.
Yeah. And I'm like, well, what are you doing? He's like, nothing. I just thought we'd hang out, for a little bit. I'm like, no, I'm kind of tired. He's like, oh, come on, I'm like, no, I'm tired. Let's go downstairs. And he was like, no, just come and, whatever. And I'm like, oh, okay, just for a little bit. So we were on the bed, cuddling, and he starts making out, and he like demands to like sleep with me. And I'm like, no. And I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing? How do I get out of here? Like, where's my, and I'm like, no, I'm sorry. Like, I don't, like, you have to leave. And luckily, thank God, he ended up leaving. And I was just like, never again will I let any guy drive me home or know where I live or anything.
So there's a cautionary tale in all of this for our men and women listeners. Men obviously, like, no means no.
Yeah,
I'm trying
no
to figure
means
out where in the evolution of like the last 50 years where no meant try harder. Like, no means no.
no.
Like,
You know what he said to me? He's like, well, I drove all the way out here and I bought you dinner.
oh God.
Like I owed him something. Like I owed it, and I'm like, well, thanks. And I just, yeah, I'm like, but no, I'm sorry, I don't do that. So
if we ever figure out who this guy is, and of course we're not into public lynching, but men, women,
I'm gonna name them all.
yeah, whatever. There's nothing wrong with not that we're a fan of violence in this one, but anybody, if you ever hear that out in public, feel free on behalf of the Single Parents Daily Show to punch that person in the face.
Yeah.
I bought you dinner.
Yeah. Can you believe that? And he left, and I didn't hear from him again. I'm like, good.
Yeah, good riddance.
Good riddance. Good riddance. But
and again, that's a long distance relationship. It was never gonna.
Oh yeah, for sure. That was. And I think that he didn't want anything other than that. When he had a plan, I think, all along.
Totally. Yeah. All right, that's a pretty bad one.
That's a bad one. Yeah. No, and a lot of them, a lot early on, because I was on the apps, they don't look like, they show up and they don't look anything like their pictures, like they're being catfished. So now I know I need your last name, I need your social media, because I need to verify it's really you.
Yeah. So I actually did a collaboration. I even hate using that word, with Bumble, but they wanted to reach out to single parents and kind of, really focus on single parents and dating. And so they asked me if I would do a series of dates and chronicle the whole thing. And like the very first one, it was that I got catfished. I walked in, I'm like, excuse me, like, how does this even work? Like, And here's the thing. I think that, I asked the question, right? And because it was a project for me, I really asked the question is, what was your expectation? Knowing that the pictures that you put out there and who you were here are very different. How is it that you feel that that's going to go? And she's like, well, my hope was is that we would just get to talk and you'd see that, I was worth hanging out with. And I'm like, but you've begun the relationship with deception. How is that ever going to, how am I ever going to trust you? And wouldn't it be better to just begin the relationship as who you are and then see what grows from there? And I mean, the fact that we have a word like catfishing, I think is a significant problem in the world.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, I think they want to win us over with their personality. And I think for me, yeah, personality is thing, but I need to be attracted to you. If I'm not, I have friends that want to set me up and they send me pictures and I'm like, no, but he's so nice and he'll treat you like a queen and this. I'm like, if I am not physically attracted to this man, there's no way I'm gonna even entertain it. Like, I'm sorry, I can't. Call me shallow, call me vain, call me whatever you want. But I think that's one of the main things, if not the most important, I think for me, is I need to be able to be attracted to you. If I'm not attracted to you, then nothing else is gonna work. Sorry. Not
No,
sorry.
please don't apologize. I think that there's I wouldn't say that there's a 50-50 on this one, but we, in all of the research on this one, as we talk about building relationships, there is this idea that you can grow into love. And so, I would love, again, guys, there's a lot of comments that we could throw out in this particular one. So this is another topic. Can you develop into, or can you begin a relationship, a romantic relationship with someone you're not attracted to? And I think that, there's all the stories of people who were friends for years and then that something developed from that. But, just with the intent of getting to know someone in a romantic capacity, if you're not attracted to them, can that develop into something else? Would love to hear from the audience. Sound off on our Instagram or Facebook on this one. Let us know your thoughts on that one.
Yeah, I don't know. I couldn't do it. I mean, I don't know. Never say never, but I haven't yet. So
Yeah. Well, look, here's the thing about it, right? 8 billion people on the planet. There's going to be someone who checks the boxes that you want.
exactly. If they're not local, then maybe they're international. Maybe I got to go. They're not domestic. I got to go fly out somewhere.
Speaking, well, okay, yeah, okay. So, I mean, long distance relationships were tough pre-COVID. I'm at,
Yeah.
like now I gotta put on a mask and stay in a hotel room 14 days before I can see you. So, have you traveled since kind of the COVID?
No, but I'm traveling. I'm actually going to leave on the first. I'm traveling out of the country. I'm going down to Mexico to Guadalajara to visit my family.
Oh,
I'm going to
nice.
be for 2 weeks. So I'm a little nervous because, this is my first time traveling during COVID. So we'll see.
Uh, yeah, I'll be filming in Mexico in about 5 days.
Oh, you are? Where? What part?
Cancun, Playa del Carmen.
Oh,
So we're
nice.
doing a medical tourism piece for NBC down there, which is going to be kind of fun. Is really looking at stem cell therapy and how that's treating COVID. How Mexico and kind of Riviera Maya is still open for tourism, and they're looking at 30 to 60% occupancy and trying to make sure that everything's safe. So it's going to be a real exciting time to see how we transition from this sheltered existence into a more hopeful sense of normalcy, but it's going to be fun.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun. How long are you gonna be down there?
Not very long, not long enough to
Enjoy
not long
it.
enough,
To have
yeah,
fun.
enough to film, have a margarita or 62
Or-
and then get back on a plane.
that should be fun. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to going to see my family. So have a lot of margaritas and a lot of good food.
There you go. There
Yeah.
you go. Well, let's talk a little bit more about unicorn moms before we wrap up. So people can follow this, they can join part of the conversation, but your real focus is to kind of turn this into a movement. And I think in kind of that movement is to, turn it into something that, puts food on the table, and buys more margaritas and good
Yeah,
wine.
more alcohol. Yeah, more Tito's and soda.
There you go. So, yeah, how do people get involved with Unicorn Moms? And what do you want it to become? What is if I could wave my magic wand?
Okay, so let
How
me
do
tell you why well, I know why I started, but like what we focus in not so much as the mom, the woman as the mom, but more as the woman as the individual. Her wants, her needs, her desires, her goals. Because I think we tend to lose ourselves in who we were before we were married and had kids, our focus shifts, which is fine. We want to do it. It's not something I think, we all sign up for to do. But I think in that whole process, we lose ourselves. So I think my community, what I want it to be and what it's moving towards, we're not just mom. I'm not just Tyler and Dylan's mom. I'm Maria. I have my own identity, and I want to be seen and heard, and I have hopes and dreams, and everything. So it's very empowering for the members in my community, and I want them to come out of their shell. I've helped moms go back to school and leave abusive husbands. Support there when they're some member of their family dies, when their kid's autistic and she's struggling and she doesn't know what to do. So we're very, very supportive and encouraging. Look, mama, and a lot of women that are very self-conscious, about body shaming. So we're just like, no, you're beautiful. We support you, and fuck what people think, and wear what you want to wear. And so it's more of that than just like a mommy community where what foods to give your kids, and play dates and all that stuff. Like, no, there's other mom groups for that. For us, it's just, let's laugh, let's support each other, and let's clap for each other, and hype each other up. So yeah, so that's what it is. And what was the other question? Where do I see it going?
Yeah, what do you want it to become? If I pull out my magic wand, and for
Oh
those
my
of you
God.
listening, take your mind out of the gutter.
Yes, I want it to become a media like hub for all things like unicorn mom, like women empowerment, mothers empowerment. We did an app for a little bit, so we want to relaunch the app. Eventually, maybe Unicorn Mom's Wine. I've been approached to do reality shows, so maybe a reality show soon. There's so much like I would want to do, like a podcast. I mean, I'm putting it out there, Evan. I'm putting it out. So thank you for making me vocalize it.
That's what my magic wand does.
Yeah. So
again,
yeah.
People, pull your mind out of the gutter.
Yeah. So yeah, do that, and expand our merchandise and stuff. So yeah, there's so much, but I just really want it to be a supportive community, that women can go to where they don't feel alone. So where they can also relate to, the struggles of the mom in Idaho, or the mom in South Dakota, to the mom in Washington and LA and New York, without judgment and, fear of being bullied or attacked.
I'm glad you said that. In the beginning, that still is the ethos of Single Parent Daily. It began as my quest, my single quest, and then I brought a couple people along for the journey. But at the end of the day, we're a community, right? And a community does not thrive in conflict; it thrives in support. So as we hope to support single parents, or any parent, right? Because it is fucking tough out there right now. Distance learning, and people are losing their jobs, the economy's god knows what. It's like, do we wear a mask, do we not wear a mask, do we pour bleach up our butt? I mean, who knows? Like, it's just like the world has gone completely batshit crazy. We're here in Northern California, where you can't step outside because the air quality is so bad. So you wake up in the morning, it's like, do I have COVID, or is that just California long? So like, we need now community more than ever. And as we originally talked, social media can be a catalyst for evil, but it can also be a catalyst for good. And I think you've done that with your community, is create a safe place for women to not feel judged and to feel accepted, which is what we need now more than ever. So as a single parent, even though I'm not a unicorn mom, although, can I get like a t-shirt, an honorary?
I'll send you a t-shirt.
Okay. So I'll be an honorary member. Can I be a two-horned unicorn? Is that how that works? God, I'm bad today. I'm experimenting with some new neurotropics. I'm just going to blame it on that.
Oh my gosh.
No, I love what you're doing, Maria. I think it's inspirational, and we need to take more inspiration from people like Maria, who are really creating community in a time and a place where we need that more than ever. And I think where people are so divisive, or it's like it's just, everything's so polarized right now. Like, I can't put something on Instagram without it turn, like, I put a picture of like a unicorn on there, and now it's political.
Yeah. Everything they wanted. Yeah. But don't engage, Evan. That's my best advice to you. Don't engage to any of the haters or the trolls or whatever. I just like, I like it.
I typically don't. There are moments where I kind of respond, but I respond in when people start questioning science. That's where I respond, right? And on my other podcast, Complete Human, I'm sure some of you guys have heard me there. When we talk a lot about science, science is not debatable. Like,
Yeah.
and when we start allowing politicians to teach us science versus the scientist, we've lost it, right? Like, just
Exactly.
close up
Well,
shop. Yeah, we're done. And that's the place that we're at, right? And so again, that's a whole conversation for another time. Maria, where can people find you?
they can find me on Facebook on @/official unicorn moms and on Instagram @unicorn moms.
Wonderful. And you have the site, which is
The
unicornmoms.com,
site
right?
unicornmoms.com. Yes,
Wonderful.
unicornmoms.com.
There's some awesome merch on there, guys. So I highly recommend, support Maria, support what it is that she's doing. Go to all of those places. We'll make sure we put all that in the show notes. Buy the t-shirt, buy the mug, hopefully buy the bottle of wine, which is going to be up there soon.
One of these days, soon.
Soon. Yes, soon. Are you familiar with SMART goals?
SMART goals. No.
Yeah. So everyone, if you haven't heard of SMART goals, they have to be, basically it's a way of doing goals. So it's, they have to be specific, actionable, relevant, time bound, something like that. So, when you create a goal, it's like, well, I'm going to do Unicorn Mom's wine and it's going to be available on the website within 3 months. And so you set yourself these actionable goals. So it's not just soon, it's very time bound. So we're going to check back with Maria here in the next couple months and find out how what do we want? Do we want a cab?
Whatever. Cabs. Yeah.
Okay.
A cab, a Merlot, a red blend, a Chard, whatever.
Okay. So we're gonna have a whole list of varietals to choose from. Maybe some champagne.
Champagne, of course.
Of course. So mimosas without the orange juice.
Yes, mimosas without the orange juice.
All right. So team out there, our goal is to hold Maria accountable to her SMART goal of launching some additional products so that we can continue to support her and the rest of the unicorn moms out there. Maria, anything else you want to add?
Nope, that's it. This has been fun.
This has been a blast. We're going to have to do this again.
More often.
Actually, here's the other thing. Again, unicorns, right? They're so prevalent in our life. A couple months ago, maybe 6 months ago, we interviewed Raising Unicorns, Kirsten Kobabe. So I think at one point what we have to do is like a 3-way unicorn thing here. And again, people, pull your mind out of the gutter.
Yeah. We should definitely do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, let me know.
Wonderful. All right, Maria, thank you so much for being a part of the Single Parents Daily podcast.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to another edition of the Single Parents Daily podcast with your host, Evan DeMarco and Chatty Dunmore, who's not here. So, I'm just going to sign off for the both of us. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll make sure to put all of Maria's information in the show notes. Subscribe to us, follow us on iTunes or whatever platform you do this. Check it out on YouTube because this video will also be up there. Share this with anybody who needs a community, a non-judgmental community where they can feel at home, especially in this time. And we'll catch up with you next week.